8 games since we saw in Oregon. Feels like an eternity ago. I'm glad to be back.
That long? Man, maybe it's just because I watched a lot of NA this week and they had a lot of Oregon in
Yeah,
NA,
I watched a lot of that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. This is actually something that I am going to be really intrigued by, though, because Team Liquid, interesting way. Team Liquid is one of these teams that I talk so highly about their coordination and just how clean a lot of their decision making is in game. It's so tangible. The way that they act on information they've collected. Everyone drones for each other. They set themselves up in really strong positions, whether that is for a post plant because they know that Sexy's going to plant really quickly, or if it's to specifically form a pinch on players, on roamers who are out on the board. Team Liquid are so good at it. Black Dragons, a little bit more sporadic. You have those players who like to play aggressively out on the roam and take advantage of attackers that they can catch out, but it doesn't always work in their favor. And when they are kind of left at the end to, deal with some of the losses they've maybe had, that's where their weaknesses truly come out. And I'm interested to see how that fares up against that playstyle of Team Liquid.
We're maybe just going to hit a quick pause and come back to us. I think there's one of the players who's got a bit of an issue. Good to see that we've got PSK back inside of the server. I know that we had Silence playing in his stead last week for Liquid. I'm not sure on sort of PSK's situation, but we wish him all the best, and we wish his father all the best as well. I think he was suffering with a bit of illness there, so hopefully that is getting itself on the mend as he's back playing here tonight. And I've got a feeling that Liquid are going to need their full lineup here tonight as well, Gio.
Yeah, I was going to say a fun fact about Silence. I think of all the players in the entirety of the BR6, he actually came away with the highest cost. If you were to go on CCG, go look up player stats, Silence is going to be at the top there.
Just never touch the game again. He just doesn't need to play again this stage.
No, never again.
Doesn't play again this stage.
Log off, walk
Finishes
away.
the stage as the highest cost and can just say, I honestly don't know what all the fuss is about, lads. You just need to get yourself out there and do better.
We see this with coaches all the time. Do you remember the Hyperino thing in EU when Hyperino had to step in for Chaos and he was just fragging like crazy? And then obviously you got Luke playing on SSG now. Like, just get your coaches in, guys.
Mr. Officer.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Officer playing for Koana inside of Yukin. Ooh.
You got obviously Dizzle on Fnatic is the OG of the stories, right? So yeah, exactly. Just get your coaches in and you're fine. But no, I think you're right. Having the full lineup in is really going to benefit. I nearly said Sexy Cake. I mean, sure, it'll benefit Sexy Cake, but I meant all of them. It's really going to benefit Team Liquid. Especially going up a team like Black Dragons, who I think can have that level of unpredictability that will require more coordination to go up against. One of the things that I've actually written in my notes is, can Team Liquid take advantage of Black Dragons' headless chicken approach where when they're playing a team that's a lot better than them, that's where you start to see a lot of the flaws in Black Dragons' way of playing, and it looks a lot less put together, even though we have seen many examples of Black Dragons playing really coordinated before as well.
It's something that I commented on earlier, and I don't want to sort of hit anyone with a little bit of a curse, because I don't sort of believe in that sort of stuff, but we haven't seen Black Dragons play a game that's lasted very long. I think the most we've seen them play is 10, maybe 11 rounds, which is a 7-4, 7-3, something within that region. Now, there's a danger here tonight that Liquid do what Liquid do best, and that is, tie a game out nice and neatly. The only team we've really seen them struggle against so far in any sort of significant way has been FaZe. So, Black Dragons is still... It seems really odd to say this, Gio, because of how close we are to almost wrapping the season up, in that we've got this Super Week, and then that's going to be it. We're looking then toward the Copper Elite 6. But I still feel like we're yet to see something from Black Dragons. I don't feel like we've seen them play that much.
Really, and they actually have a really enjoyable playstyle. I'm very looking forward to seeing how they deal with this attack from Team Liquid. You know, my assumption right now is that Team Liquid are looking to do a meeting hatch because of the Ying they've brought. It's very popular here in Brazil. But look at this aggressive positioning from Black Dragons. They were just waiting for those players to come in through the main entrance. They have plenty of defenders who are up on that first floor, and Team Liquid will likely be quite thorough with clearing them out. I mean, even PSK all the way upstairs. This is something that Team Liquid do very quickly. Historically, Black Dragons, and this iteration of Black Dragons I'm talking about, who have only existed for this season so far, you know, they like to have their roamers out for a long time. But I think they need to be a lot more disciplined about sending them back to the side if they are to win this out. I mean, look, Iron's already taken a ton of damage. He, I think, is the only one who's still out and about upstairs. He needs to go down these freezer stairs, as he is showing now, and help out down below.
It's going to take more than an impact through a wall and some pre-fire shots to try and get the better of Team Liquid. You could see just how well they were set up there inside a meeting to try and take that hatch. And that's where the pressure is going to continue to mount, as Sexy Kate's going to take down the barricade leading into blue. Always so much information available for the players on Team Liquid as well. They do a lot of work with the drones and with those pest pings. And typically, if you get a view of any of the player cameras, there's usually some sort of intel on it. Takes the case there being a great example, as there is going to be a Banshee on the hard right of that double door that does need to be dealt with. Toxie playing there on side of the pillar. Global shields to look to try and get rid of as well. Maybe a nade going to come through, try and do that with. But we're seeing Yings. Candelas have been used, and there might be a side push here. Oh, an unfortunate team kill, and Live doubles down on it, furthering that man count advantage. But Toxie fires Paolu. What has just happened to Team Liquid, Gio?
Team Liquid just got absolutely decimated off the map. Oh my god. Oh, so okay, let's break this down, because my first thought in that round was, as simple as it is, I'm so happy to see Team Liquid have blue presence. It's something that teams in Brazil really neglect to do when they want to make a meeting push. Usually they just focus on the meeting hatch. They might have one guy on the tower stairs, but blue really doesn't get focused on. You could see PSK droned out the shield as well. He pinged it. He's ping knew exactly where it was, but that was the nade that got the team kill, which started everything off. So immediately you can't get that shield, you can't push the defenders out of elbow, and you've lost a guy. Then the Candelas go in, because that's when you expect them to happen, but the push has already been stunted and forced out of coordination with each other. It's a decoherent push at this point. And that means that Black Dragons, they've read into the situation, and they have that positional advantage and utility advantage as well, because Liquid already screwed up. Right at the end, you have, I think it was Moringa, who tried to come down the laundry stairs. He's got to try and blow a hole in the barricade that's in the way. That gives away his position. He can't land the shots. All the players from Black Dragons, because the roam had been recalled on time and they were all down to play together, all they had to do was watch Team Liquid feed themselves into the meat grinder of the basement, and they could eat them alive. A slew of kills came in, and Team Liquid would just dust on the floor. That one's gonna really sting, and all they can do, I would imagine, is laugh after that, because it was truly not the way it was supposed to go, but definitely a great start.
It's a brilliant start. It's a flawless round. A lot of momentum, a lot of hype leading into that as well. They were helped by a bit of a team kill, but you've got to take advantage of those sort of things. Winning rounds here on Oregon, it's expected to come easier when you're on the defense. And with rounds coming that easy for Black Dragons, where essentially they just had to sit and wait and play into that utility in those power positions, they're going to be really happy with how much they put in for how much they got out there in round number 1. Now things change. We're in round number 2. We're going to be looking to get control of this attic area. Sexy Kate going to be using the Maverick to try and get something open. There is going to be a player with a C4 ripped ready on the other side. This could be quite dangerous, as that hole is more than big enough for a C4 to get flung on through. How aggressive are Black Dragons wanting to be here?
I think the important thing for Black Dragons is that they lean into the aggression that they can play, but they are disciplined with their positioning. And that's what we saw in that last round. And what I mean by that is knowing when to retreat, knowing when to move closer to the site, but also knowing that when Team Liquid push up on you, you have the confidence to take those gunfights. That's the real balance that they've struggled to get in the past. That's what they need to show now, and that's what we see from Live, although immediately traded out by Moringa.
Good kill coming in as a trade. Is it going to be enough? Nesk was obviously going to be relied upon here for some of his ability to get rid of some of this utility. I'm speaking mainly there about the Banshees from Malusi. As the Ash with the breaching charge, that is usually going to be the best bet at trying to get rid of them. Ion just going to push himself back as the wall has now been opened. Going to challenge onto Trophy and just give Sexy Cake something to worry about. ADS is doing the job here. Yuna with a swing as Palu. He's going to fall. Sexy Cake still trying to get a nade over, but can't. Not given the time or the space as Ion is continuing to aggress on through. Yuna there suffering a little bit with the recoil, but does get himself taken out as Moringa comes round there swinging. Clash now looking to try and stop Moringa's push as it's a dead equal 3 versus 3. But when Clash is on the table, you always feel like the defenders have a slight edge. Moringa looking now to make some sort of a rotation as Attic really isn't a viable option with Ion playing on that Clash. Sexy Cake as well trying to find an alternate angle, but there's going to be a Banshee that gives him away. 13 seconds left remaining, a push from PSK. He's taken down. Hugs finds one as well. Patoxy, the final kill over onto Sexy Cake. Black Dragons with 2 fantastic rounds here so far.
Unbelievable control from Black Dragons, and I think what's really important to bring up there is it's not as simple as just saying, oh, well, it's a Clash, you know, she's hard to deal with. It's very specifically where that Clash was holding, and I'm talking in the bottom of Attic and also Trophy, which is why Sexy Cake couldn't push up through Trophy when he was trying to. What you can umbrella that into is the fact that Black Dragons would not relinquish the middle of the map. Now, you need access to the middle of the map in order to move through the site. Even if you came in through the games room wall, you need the middle of the map to pass in through the site. If you come through Trophy or through Armory, you need... Well, I suppose if you come through Armory, you've got to go through Trophy anyway. But either way, you need to move in through the middle of the map to get to the site. If you come in through Attic, same thing. Team Liquid had to decide to try alternate angles because they simply could not break through the middle of the map. And that was all because Iron was holding it and Team Liquid couldn't finish him off. Even when Iron was simply supporting other players on his team, those players were there to get rid of the players from Team Liquid as they tried to make the push. It's really hard to make a coordinated move in on a site if you simply are barricaded off. And it's basically like having the Suez Canal boat in the middle of it. You can't get through. And suddenly, everything falls apart. That was Team Liquid.
Evergreen.
Yeah.
Is that what we dub Ion as?
Yeah, that was the Evergreen strategy.
The Evergreen inside of the Attic. It's a direct comparison. I genuinely can't see anything wrong with it at all, Gio. I think it's a good comparison to be drawn. Something else worth mentioning here is that Team Liquid are really struggling in that opening engagement. Now, they found a trade in that last round to counter that opening pick, but they have suffered the opening death first 2 times in a row. I mentioned how last time it was onto the Clash. That's also something that you can try and use to onto the Ash. That's also something you can use to deal with the Clash. There we go. It's not looking great so far for Liquid in terms of these gunfights. We're seeing a lot of them go very one-sidedly toward Black Dragons. Now Liquid are changing things up. They're attacking, obviously, onto Kitchen. They've brought the Kali. PSK trying to get some long angles open, I can imagine, because there's no significant hard breach here aside from the Maverick.
Means, of course, if Sexy Cake gets taken down, they'll really struggle with a lot of these walls, which are incredibly important when attacking onto this site. I'm also interested to see how Team Liquid did stairs, as control of the hatch is something that we also see quite shaky here in Brazil. Sexy Cake is just playing it quite carefully and trying to open up some of those holes, but Moringa will be the first one to die. We spoke about this player as being one of the highest rated in all of Brazil right now, but straight away taken out by Black Dragons.
A kill that will go unresponded for, at least for a time. Sexy Cake is really struggling to try and get this wall open, and that's really why a typical hard breacher brought for this site. PSK finds a long kill there over onto Live, putting Cali's sniper rifle to good work. Patoxy with a C4, it is going to miss. He eats the nade and finds the kill. Really good play there from Patoxy, recognizing he needed to push aggressively to get out the splash range of that grenade. Another nade going to come on in, but he's going to find himself a second kill. Palu getting taken out of the mix. PSK left to try and challenge, but he's got that sniper rifle. It's not an easy weapon. These close quarter engagements. He's going to gently get himself around the corner, but no, gets cut down as well. But Toxie could be on for a quad kill here, but Nesk steps in. It could be too little too late, however, as Clash is still alive on the side of Black Dragons, and that means that a 1 versus 3 is going to be very difficult for Nesk. Does recover the diffuser, pushes his way through showers. He's got live ping information, but that Clash stun works from a mile away. Finds one onto Ion, walking through the quicksand now as Clash continues to stun. Clash not looking to play too aggressively here, as he doesn't really want to give Nesk a chance at getting a clutch off. Pre-firing as he goes, and a bit of a bikini body 360 there from Yuna to shut things down. Black Dragons 3 fantastic defensive rounds here on Oregon, and Team Liquid look like they are a mile away.
Yeah, sorry, can we just talk about how much of an absolute freaking beast Patoxy is? Like, hello?
It's Patoxy showers and he ain't letting you in.
Absolutely crazy. And I really love the way the Black Dragons held on to showers as well, because yes, it was just Patoxy who was in there for a lot of the time. Team Liquid definitely shot themselves in the foot by not bringing another hard breach. I mean, even bringing a thermite allows you to open the dining wall at the very least. You oftentimes see a thermite be used from the office upstairs to open up the reinforced wall down below. That wasn't an option. That would have at least been guaranteed safety, which Sexy Cake didn't have when trying to open up showers. The Aruni gates that were on both the soft wall of showers and also the door of showers made it hard to throw in projectiles. And while they did manage to get rid of the shield that was in there, it was really good thinking from Patoxy to move up to the wall. But that's not everything. The really notable thing to me is that I keep wanting to say Sexy Cake when I mean Team Liquid, and I don't know why, but the really notable thing to me is that Team Liquid had not sufficiently droned out showers, and they didn't have any intel in there. Do you know how I know that? It's because when Sexy Cake moved in through the soft wall, he looked the wrong way. They did not know that Patoxy had moved up to the wall. That, to me, is quite a rookie mistake for what a team like Team Liquid should be doing. He had no idea where he was. There was no one watching onto the shower's door through the window that could have seen the rotated by Patoxy. They didn't even assume based on the fact that they threw in the nade and that he hadn't died. Sexy Cake simply walked in, looked the wrong way, and that it shows a lack of information that Team Liquid should not have had.
I find myself asking more and more questions as the rounds drag on here, Gio. And I'm going to come back to a point we've both brought up, and that's the operator lineup that Liquid are bringing. They really seem to be firm on bringing this thermite, and are choosing not to bring a Hibana, not to bring an ace. They didn't bring a hard breach in the last round either. It seems like they're just making interesting decisions based on which hard breaches they're going to be bringing. And I'm not sure if that's limiting them somewhat. We saw what Patoxy was able to do from showers. We saw exactly how this round played out back in round number 1 when we saw it for the first time. Now, obviously, barring the unfortunate team kill with the grenade, I don't expect it to go in exactly the same fashion. There's still quite a lot here for Liquid to try and do. They are going to be getting the wall open, the hatch open, I believe. So that's going to be PSK with the charge. Okay, being brought means that that's an easy task. Maverick not required. That means that Sexy Cake can instead turn his attention elsewhere. Seems strange to say this, Gio, but Palu is yet to find a kill inside of these first 4 rounds.
It's because we got Jackie and he was talking about how great Palu is and he's cursed it. Black Dragons have actually put up quite a late shield in elbow, which Team Liquid did catch. There were 2 players out there, and imagine it's probably just one now, but a really big change the Black Dragons have made is not actually having an early roam at all. Instead, they have started and retained all players downstairs. Iron, he'll be the first death. Is that the first round where Team Liquid have had the opening kill that
really
isn't their own player?
Well, it gets traded out straight away as Live takes down PSK. Nesk is providing quite a problem from those back stairs as he picks himself up a triple. Hugs now left to try and swing on as he is the last man standing. Moringa going to get revived. What are you doing in this situation? There's loads of players down. It's a 1v1. Sexy Cake locked into the 1v1 with Hugs. 19 seconds left. Time enough to make a rotation, but how much intel is there available? Sexy Cake going to do what he does best, try and get that diffuser down. It's going to force Hugs to try and push on up. He doesn't get the visual. Pre-fire shots go through. It was on a bulletproof camera for the longest time, and it still took Hugs that long to push on up. Going for the counter diffuse now is Sexy Cake. Is he going to get baited? No, locks it in. But I bet the heart was pumping for that one, and everyone on the side of Team Liquid picking up their first attacking round here on Oregon.
Yeah, my heart was absolutely pumping. As soon as you see a player run, you know they're going to be hurt. And at that point, it's just a matter of who gets the shot. Wow. I mean, what a wild round that was. For so much of it, especially off the back of Nesk's 2K, you just think, yeah, Team Liquid, they're back. They're shifting the momentum. This is going their way. They're not having the problems with the desynced coordination that they had back in round number 1. The control of the tower stairs is really useful. Then they all jump down the meeting hatch and everyone is DBNO'd because they try to lift and revive one player and the Hugzord is still there. He still has control of Pillar and can just pick up all these players. There's no one there to shoot him. There's no one holding an angle in through electrical. He just has 3 free kills. Now, obviously, it gets incredibly, you know, heart racy and quite pressurizing when you're in that final 1 versus 1 and Sexy's got to make the plant and Hugs is elsewhere and can he get there in time and no he can't and then suddenly it's Sexy versus Hugs. Team Liquid finally put their first round on the board, but wow, it was not without a fight.
If anyone wants some free Reddit upvotes, clip that, put it on the Reddit, come up with a witty hashtag or make a bit of a meme out of it, because that is something to go back and watch. Just the player, I think it was Parley that dropped the hatch, I might be wrong with that, but the player that dropped the hatch just into an absolute mess. It was such an unfortunate circumstance, and to be honest, Sexy Cake did really well to drag it back from there as well, because when you're essentially, I think, 3 versus 1, because we did have the one Moringa that was downed, and then it just flips and all of a sudden it's 1v1. That's just a terrible momentum change to go through. And I think that for Liquid to be able to sort of dig deep and pull it out, Sexy Cake just doing exactly what he does best, getting that diffuser down and really relying on that to be his win condition, it really dragged Team Liquid through. And it's a much needed round because everything was really slipping away from them. Now they're able to come into round number 5 with a bit of a fresh perspective on things. We noticed that Sexy Cake's now on the book. Now in this round in particular, no one on the side of Black Dragons is playing the Clash, which is something we've seen them play both on the kitchen and on this top floor of dorms, which is the site for this round. Now I imagine that Sexy Cake's intention was to get in underneath and try and provide a little bit of vertical angle to play from onto these defenders on in sight. However, that isn't going to be a factor as there isn't going to be a clash. And there is in fact going to be Patoxy playing on that ground level as well.
It's actually interesting too because Black Dragons haven't decided to bring a mute. So it's not even like there's, you know, wall denial that they need to get rid of from below or anything like that. In fact, any kind of reinforced surfaces shouldn't take too much trouble for Team Liquid to get open. Same as Live's skull, although maybe not his skull because it wasn't a headshot, but Sexy Cake's gonna add a second kill onto it anyway, just for good measure.
Really trying to lead from the front here as Yuna has been watching this angle for pretty much the entirety of the round and is going to pay for it as Palu sends the nade on in. I think it's going to be Palu's first kill, but I'm sure he'll take it nonetheless. puts Liquid in a really good position here, especially with Hugs aggressively swinging onto that double window. Palu's back. He's found himself a couple. And that is a bad, bad omen for the side of Black Dragons. A flawless round for Liquid. They've obviously given their heads a bit of a wobble, and they've got themselves back in this thing.
Even though Black Dragons didn't bring a clash, the Bucks certainly turned out to be incredibly useful, and not least because Sexy Cake got 2 kills, at least one of which was actually with the... was it with the skeleton key?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think the second one was with the skeleton key, but either way, him playing in Kitchen and actually having that control of Kitchen meant that he could open up those holes from underneath. So when you had players like Iron, who I think was the one playing on Maestro, who was actually present in kids' dorms, trying to look down below, trying to take those positions, get the angles onto those attackers from beneath, it meant that someone like, for example, Palu, he threw in the nade onto Yuna, immediately shift that position out. What I'm trying to get at here is that opening up those holes from beneath, regardless of what's happening above, you're going to influence the positioning of the defenders who are playing over those holes. And that is where Team Liquid are really good at being able to take advantage, because they will all be in very solid communication with one another about what they can see is happening, where those defenders are moving to, and how the players who have the focus on the top floor can take advantage of the defenders when they make those rotates. So that was a lot more control exhibited by Team Liquid, and it's nice to see it too, because it was very uncharacteristic of them to have the mistakes that they were making in those first 4 rounds. You can't deny that while many of the players in Black Dragons had some really exceptional rounds, a lot of it also came down to fairly unforgivable and egregious mistakes being made by Liquid.
And I guess the good thing if you're a Liquid fan is that they haven't lost a site that they've gone back to yet and attacked for the second time. They've made really good adaptations, and that's what we expect from a team of this caliber. We expect them to be able to quickly come up with solutions and ways of dealing with what they are being presented. And so far, they've done just exactly that. They managed to bring it kind of back to a 3 versus 2 as opposed to where it seemingly was going in the first couple of rounds, which was Liquid just not really able to make anything stick. Now, last time we saw this site came down to a 1v1. I don't think that we're going to see Liquid sort of carelessly dropping that electrical hatch anytime soon, or, heaven forbid, reviving a player that is down in the final few seconds. I think that if you get yourself down, you're probably going to be left to die, which is maybe a fair assessment based on how last round nearly went. Clash this time being played by Hugs, and this time inside of the freezer. I don't think that Liquid have got much intention of pushing there for now. Just sort of keeping a drone on it, giving themselves an option for later on, as all the attacks that we've seen from them so far have mounted themselves from this blue and rear stage area.
It's an interesting read from Black Dragons, though, because if they're expecting Team Liquid to not push the meeting hatch, then bringing the clash into freezer does make some sense. And really, unless Team Liquid make a push down laundry, even if they do go for, you know, the north side, that's still an easy rotate the Black Dragons can make to put the clash over in, for example, pillar. The only risk that you have is from behind you. But it does look like Team Liquid are preparing for this freezer push. You can see Palu getting out the nade. They just want to clear out the ADS. Smoke's going to hold them back just slightly, and Hugs is getting pretty aggressive with his positioning.
This scares me, you know. That hatch is open and no one's really looking to try and challenge onto it from Liquid. And they might be pushing the way down now, but a lot of players are full white flash, so we can't really see. But Hugs has managed to get himself back just onto the locker, but still able to provide a boatload of intel. Flash in this instance becomes a bit of a human drone, and with all these ADSs, Liquid look like they're going to be forced to make a change. Sexy Cake has sneaked his way down laundry stairs and is going to try and get rid of that Malusi with a nade and maybe the barbed wire in all one fell swoop, while Palu and Nesk have brute forced their way through into freezer. Unit holding the angle close with the shotgun is going to be a nightmare to deal with. Nesk finds out that that nightmare is going to be a reality as Sexy Cake. He finds one, but it is not going to be enough. He's looking to try and get the plant down. How has he found the room to get this down, Gio? He will be taken out just before it's confirmed as Live swings with those final 2. PSK doing his best to try and cover his teammate there, but it was a little bit ballsy from Liquid.
It was actually a really cool round in terms of how Black Dragon decided to deal with the way that that Liquid were playing. Liquid really went all in on the freezer push. In fact, Moringa placed at least 2 of his air jabs in there to force Hugzor back and any of the other players. I'm not sure if he placed all 3, but I definitely saw 2 get placed. What that then did, especially as Sexy Cake was pushing down the laundry stairs, which is where I said was going to be a very big risk to the clash, because, you know, you've got the soft wall of the freezer wall, you can be shot from behind. So what ended up happening was they retreated the clash, they brought her back, they put her in a position where you can then, you know, hold back any kind of push that's coming in from laundry. The reason that wasn't threatened from behind in freezer is because Yuna and Patoxy, who got the 2 kills on the players pushing freezer, were there. They were in the most aggressive position that they could be in, with the air jabs not being triggered. So getting those shotgun kills was really, really useful. It meant that Team Liquid no longer had this double-sided push. And the threat that Sexy Cake was supposed to be able to put on behind, and then the room he was supposed to acquire to plant, was no longer available for Team Liquid. And it was all because Black Dragons didn't overstay their welcome in parts of the map that had been shut off from them. They didn't try to get over-aggressive, but instead played within their means, and they understood where those threatening angles were being held from Team Liquid, and that allowed them to take positions that still pushed the attackers back. That was really huge, even if it looked quite subtle and not the most explosive round we've seen so far. And for me, that's a really good thing from Black Dragons, who are a team who up until this point have had some struggles with being disciplined in the way they play aggressively. I've said it a couple of times, but we have to reiterate it because it's so true.
You know, I kind of felt like we were watching NIP that last round, Gio. With that freezer push, that would look like
no, NIP would have been doing it 3 times the speed.
But it looked like something straight out of the NIP playbook. They just push freezer, just make it work. It was weird to see Liquid sort of play that when they've seen success with attacking that same site from elsewhere, namely from blue and backstairs onto pillar. So it was a little bit strange to see them give that one a go, but maybe the clash gave them cause for concern. Clash being effectively brought from Black Dragons, but now everything has changed, of course. Black Dragons, they're on the attack, and Liquid need to find themselves some rounds here to level it all back up as they come out of their attacking phase at 2-4. Not unusual for Oregon by any stretch. Black Dragons giving themselves an easier time of things here. They just need an equal 3-3 split and they'd be happy and take the game and go to the next one. There's plenty of siege to play before we come to that. I'm going to gather some intel on the clone. As hatches start to get opened here by the Maverick. You hear a C4 rip. Patoxy aggressively pushing on through but gets shut down. Moringa there with the peak. Not sure if that was a bit of a bait and switch with that C4 getting pulled there, and Patoxy just thinking he potentially had a chance.
I mean, fails on the attack are the most likely at this point to be Black Dragon's undoing. Not because that's necessarily a comment on them, just because it's harder to successfully coordinate on an attack. Hugs is going to be the next one to go down, and you can see these 2 players looking to push into freezer, but they also may find themselves having a hard time because of the positions of the shield by Team Liquid. Life tried to get aggressive, it didn't work out for him, and Moringa collects a 2k.
Kills really starting to come in hot now as Liquid do what Liquid do best, and that is clean shot. A very disgruntled push from Black Dragons, coming one at a time almost, and making things very easy there for Team Liquid. I'm sure they're not going to be happy with how that first round has gone. Brings Liquid to within 1 round of leveling things up, as I expect Liquid now to take a good portion of these rounds and to really put the pressure back onto Black Dragons. They might have an advantage in terms of round count, but that's quickly going to come back to bite them.
Yeah, I worry that maybe the defenses of Team Liquid will be more robust than Black Dragons, you know, necessarily can deal with in the same way that they did when they were on the defense themselves. That That said, our expectations at the start of this game certainly didn't match the outcome of the first half, so I don't want to speak with too much assuredness that may not be there. Team Liquid did have a great setup in that last round, you know, especially the way that those Goyo shields were positioned, because it meant that despite the fact the Black Dragons were trying to come in through a couple of different angles, they were all being watched. And I think the fact that Patoxy failed in getting the entry kill really, you know, made Black Dragons struggle for the rest of the round, because not only did it kind of telegraph what Black Dragons were looking to do and Team Liquid could prepare accordingly, it also meant that they were, you know, coming in onto the attack with the man disadvantage. And it simply meant that one of your better performing players was taken out very early. Not necessarily the best position for Black Dragons, and it means that Team Liquid are just one step closer to evening things out. Black Dragons still have a chance though. Once again, they brought the Finker, which is something that we did see them bring before, to have that overheal as they tried to push down through Freezer, although it didn't actually work for them because Moringa got 2K. 2Ks? He got 2Ks. He got 2 kills.
I was going to ask you, Gio, what do you think of the Lion ban?
Oh my god.
It's a genuine question.
I think I would like to... Did you say, what do you think of the Lion ban?
Would I ever say something like that?
Because I would like to stop casting with you if that's the case.
Oh, as easy as that it was to get myself
that was
a new
it. That's
Gio.
all you needed to
That's
do.
all it took.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Lion ban is an interesting one because it's definitely a preferred operator by some teams. It was Liquid who brought the Lion ban, and that means the Black Dragons, you know, you would assume it's going to hurt them more. Something they'd really like to look at is maybe tracking the positions of the defenders. That said, they do have things like Jackal who are available to them if they want an alternative, and they haven't lent into that. Instead, they have been going for this Finker to have the heal to facilitate the aggression that they want to give. So maybe a couple of rounds need to go by before we really see if it's hurt them.
Yeah, it's something that I just don't remember seeing Black Dragons play all that much. It's not someone that we've seen a great deal over the course of the stage. We've seen it on some maps, but I don't know how much value it really holds here on Oregon. It has obviously opened things up, and with Liquid starting on the attack, they were given a run of their teeth in terms of operators that they could choose. So they did get the lion's share of the benefit, and for that it gave them only 2 rounds. So there is an argument to say how worthwhile it was. Think a stim, but no push to come off the back of it. Liquid are pretty much lying in wait. They're on the site. Information getting pinged out here by Black Dragons. There's plenty of utility to burn. There's Evil Eyes, Toxic Babe canisters, C4s, all of the good stuff to try and wade on through. Finker boost means only one thing, and that means a site rush. Patoxy gets himself taken out as PSK finds the opener with a brilliant headshot. PSK prime position to pick up more. Moringa finds himself down, and Hugs is going to try and confirm this plant. An impact grenade and a C4 really doubling down on that, doing their best to deny that plant from going down, and they will so. But an equal 2 versus 2 as Yuna recovers the diffuser and starts thinking about a plant. Sexy Cake has something to say about that, however, as Ion left pushing up White Stairs is going to run out of time as Liquid defend in a very scrappy defense there in round number 7.
It was scrappy, but I think it was still kind of clear why Liquid were, quote-unquote, hitting their shots, and Black Dragons weren't so much. And that's not because Black Dragons didn't get any kills. Evidently they did. We all saw the kill feed. We all saw them happen. But again, it was that instance of Patoxy trying to play entry and not actually landing anything. For me, the reason is because Liquid are in positions for trades and Black Dragons aren't. If you saw where all the other players were on Black Dragons when Patoxy actually got taken down in that opening engagement, they were miles away, and none of them had a line of sight on where Patoxy was, and more importantly, where his adversary was. This is something that's really important in Siege, is how trades are played and how valuable they can be. And you'll notice in a lot of games when you hear casters talking about, oh, well, this team's hitting their shots and this one isn't, a lot of it is because trades aren't being done by the team that's not so-called hitting their shots. And the reason that matters is because if Patoxy had gone down, but then his killer, his murderer, brutal murderer, had been instantly killed by another member of Black Dragons, it kind of nullifies that for Team Liquid. But that didn't get nullified. In fact, Team Liquid then not only had the space, but the man advantage and the room to push forward, knowing the Black Dragons had one fewer person to support the rest of the push. That is monumentally advantageous, and it can't really be understated because it seems like such a small thing. But if we just, I think that's something that we need to watch out for going forward in the next coming rounds, is how Black Dragons are set up for trades, how many they successfully get off, and how Team Liquid compare. Because Team Liquid always seem to be ready to collect a trade if they need one.
It's something we've consistently seen Team Liquid be good at as well, is those trades, especially when it comes down to, you know, them on defense and in the final few seconds. You very rarely catch one of them out of position. They're usually in the right place at the right time or wherever they are required. I've said that this round they're probably going to be all over the place, but I'd highly doubt it. Nice angle there being made through the attic floor, well, through the attic wall, should I say, through the floor, and then onto that rear stage stairs. Now, Meeting is a site that Liquid aren't afraid of trying to hold, and the entire sort of hold surrounds itself around PSK playing the dock. He plays the dock inside of the corner, looks to stim himself up, has some ADSs as well, and can generally be very difficult to try and deal with. Now, there's a live ping on his location, but what can Black Dragons do about that? He's there, stim pistol's ready, can get himself more health, and has ADSs. Just needs to really concern himself with attic for the meanwhile, but Neska's rotated up to make that a non-factor. Drone information going to be exchanged there as Ion, he's wiggle peeking on the clone, just trying to gather some sort of intel. Now looking to burn the ADS and expect a grenade to come through in PSK's direction. Sexy's going to find the kill though onto Ion, as Ion may be swinging there to try and throw that nade. Going to be left now to Hugs. Going to try and reverse plant just on the threshold of sight. This really does put the pressure on Liquid, but they're more than capable of dealing with it. PSK with a swing, a Toxic Babe canister for good measure. The kills continue to flood in. Live now left 1 versus 5. A flawless for Liquid. Black Dragon seriously scratching their head as to how to deal with PSK there.
What a lob by Moringa as well. Moringa was the guy playing the smoke. He was in kitchen. He was in kitchen. And actually, I think what's really important there is the whole thing that Black Dragons were going for was to try and draw Team Liquid out of their positions by planting in a slightly more unorthodox place. As soon as we kind of saw the start of that round, I just had Ace's voice in my head being like, oh, I'm trying to do an Ace accent, right? Team Liquid lack to play so aggressive up on that side. But they do. They like to play really aggressive in that corner where you typically see plants go down. So they tried to draw them out of those positions so they could collect the kills as the plant was being made. It was almost like a bait. But what you saw crucially was Patoxy, who was holding onto the green hall and holding onto that Anglin's kitchen, let it go. So Moringa, who was in kitchen, was kind of free to do what he wanted. He wasn't being pressured, and that meant that there was nothing stopping the smoke from throwing out the denial. When that got thrown out, it forced back the other players of Black Dragons. It meant the planter was on his own, and then PSK and Sexy, who were in meeting and split respectively, can just push up. Even though they're being drawn out of their positions, there's really no threat on them. So I kind of liked the idea from Black Dragons. I can see where they were coming from, but the execution was flawed, and Team Liquid took advantage of those flaws, you know? They exploited it and made it work in their own favor.
I'm still just about getting over the Ace impersonation.
Was it good or was it bad?
It was, I mean, it happened.
They lack to play aggressive. It's like the lack. It doesn't say like.
It happened. I can hear sort of, I can hear nuanced similarities, but I think you've maybe got a little ways to go.
I'm too southern.
Yeah, you've maybe got a little ways to go, and maybe just stop laughing as well.
All right, okay, I'm sorry.
That's always.
Simon's saying I'm too posh.
Yeah, Simon. Yeah, I could see him spouting up there in the chat.
He would know.
He's like, guys, just stop. Just please talk about the game at this point. Stop with the dodgy northern accent impressions. Well, mine isn't an impression, actually. That is just where I am from. But
authentic.
Moving on into round number 10. Black Dragons now pushing their way down the freezer. Previously, we saw a disjointed push from them attacking this site as they were looking to kind of do a bit of everything and really got nothing achieved. It was another one of those rounds where a lot of the kills go in Liquid's direction and only in that direction, as Iron once again is droning out from this laundry stairs area looking to push his way through, whilst other players are pressuring other areas, namely Freezer. But that's being held pretty hard here by Moringa. There's 2 players now stacking up, unless that was a clone, on side of that laundry. Live looking to gather some intel from the hatch, maybe getting ready for a bit of a drop. Could come through, as the stun grenades are going to be enough to at least force the players on Team Liquid out of position for a while, but Nesk has got his way back in. Deployable shield or Vulcan shield destroyed. Palu is going for a bit of a change-up. To try and now hold Freezer a little bit more aggressively. Will lose out the gunfight there. The MPX not being kind to him. Toxie finding the opener, but the kills coming in as trades once again. Nesk, he picks himself up too, but it is now all down to Nesk and PSK. Nesk's gone huge already, and he's going to have to go even bigger, as that's a quad kill. He caught Hugs looking the other direction entirely. It's a potential ace here for Nesk, as Yuna's left to push his way down Freezer all alone. So much intel for him to gather. He does swing, find one. Really making that SMG 12, sorry, pay for itself. He's now looking to try and push a little bit further, but with the diffuser cold on the ground, it isn't going to be easy for him. You can tell he's working off no intel just from how rapidly he's peeking everything. Who's going to pre-fire? It's going to be PSK. Picks off that headshot there, landing his shots when it matters. Just checking he had a bit more ammunition left in the magazine as well at the end of things.
Really limited at the end there, and I was kind of rooting for that to go in the way of Black Dragons, just because, you know, after getting the kill onto Nesk, it's like, all right, you got rid of the boss. Now, you know, I want to see you win this out. I want to see you pull it back in your favor, because now Team Liquid, Ponto Decisivo, otherwise known as match point. I actually thought that could have gone the way of Black Dragons as well, because the real notable parts of the defense that were a problem for them back in round number 7 were removed. And I mean, for me, that's the Goyo shield and the player behind it that was looking into Freezer. The player was removed by a flashbang. It's always a nice day in Siege when you see a flashbang used for its actual purpose rather than to clear utility. And then the Goyo shield was actually blown up as well. So immediately that part of control removed from Team Liquid. But Nesk just went Super Saiyan, and actually his kill onto Potoxi was real proof of what I was talking about back in round number 8 about Team Liquid having really good traits. Because the way that Potoxi pushed up, he thought he could take advantage of a situation that he'd helped create, but instead Nesk was in the ideal position to actually stop that in its tracks. And it was at that point that Black Dragons kind of lost the momentum in that round, because Nesk just carried it away and just completely, I don't know, blew everything apart. So Team Liquid probably had a harder game so far than they expected, but they are on match point. That means all they have to do is win this next round, and they will take the 3 points that are available for the victory.
We haven't seen Black Dragons get anything other than a win or a loss at this point. I know that might sound strange, but we've not seen them go into an overtime. We haven't seen any of their games be split in terms of the points in sort of a 2-1 fashion. So Black Dragons would have to take us somewhere they haven't been before if we were going to see this go in their direction, as Liquid have at this point confirmed at least 1 point and the potential for a match point. They haven't looked troubled here on the defense, and Black Dragons are yet to find a round on the attack. Things really haven't been going in their favor at all, and despite kind of unexpected performances on the side of Liquid, are still coming home with the rounds. I haven't seen the best game in the world out of Palu, particularly seeing as we gave him a big shout out in the ratings. In fact, it's been Nesk to step up to the plate and to really give that value to Team Liquid. I am going to be underneath, trying to put a bit of pressure on him. Puts a lot of shots into Moringa there. The skeleton key chunking away half of the Smoke's health. You can't pick who you're going to be getting your damage onto, but that isn't a bad one at all. You can see that the players on the side of Liquid are scurrying. They're trying to get themselves out of this pressure.
Very similar to what Team Liquid did on their attack back in round number 5. Live gets the opening kill with a grenade. That's onto Palu, who, as you said, we would usually expect to be popping off, but mostly it's been Nesk this time round. He's going to be the player who's looking down through the slats. Doesn't quite get the kill that he was looking for, but he can pass that information on to the rest of his team. But Live just adds a second kill onto his count. Nesk ready to trade it out, and ooh, PSK narrowly missing the next kill that he could have had.
Looks like a plank could be attempted here. Hugs hasn't got a great deal of health left. Another impact nade could do it. No, it's going to come down to a swing, and the swing will be done by PSK. That's the diffuser cold now in an equal 3-3. 35 seconds left. Long angle being held there as the kill comes in from Ion onto PSK. Nesk and Sexy Cake got a lot of work to do here. No C4s remaining, aside from the one in Sexy Cake's hand, which is going to miss as Yuna locks in that plant. Nesk finds one onto Ion, but then swings for Patoxy, and the control of White Stairs is sufficient. The crossfire established here by the attackers is going to be enough to grab them their first round here on the attack, as Patoxy picks up that final kill onto Sexy Cake. A really good post plant, just holding what they needed to in order to achieve the round.
It's really a testament to how much playing Buck below on this site works here in Brazil, I guess, because it's happened for both teams now. Actually, funnily enough, back on round number 5, my notes just say perfect sexy Buck, which I'm sure at some point I'm going to look back on and wonder what the hell that's meant to mean. But, I mean, Black Dragons had really similar result here. Either way, they had a win, and you could tell that the way that Nesk was trying to get the kill down into kitchen from above, he was really struggling to do it because he didn't want to put himself too much in harm's way. And then when Black Dragons were focusing a lot of attention upstairs, especially around the plant that they were trying to make just by Big Window, that prevented Team Liquid from having real free reign of being able to push forward. Even though they denied the first plant, there were still crossfires being held because that's not what, you know, the places the Black Dragons could hold those crossfires were not places that Team Liquid had put a ton of attention. I mean, notably the top of White Stairs, which is what made it hard for Sexy Cake to move forward at the end there. So it was a bit scrappy, but it still was a nice round from Black Dragons, and they really needed that. I think not just from adding numerical points to the board, but also from a mental perspective. After having such a strong, dominant first half against Team Liquid, especially looking back at those first 3 rounds, and now having just lost 4 rounds in a row to them, they needed to show themselves that they could bring it back. And the fact that they had nice trades and Patoxy was playing better, for example, just suggests to me that Black Dragons had already identified those as the problems they were having in those rounds and knew they needed to fix them, and successfully did so.
That's the same angle that Yuna was holding when Black Dragons were on the defense. Obviously downstairs, I believe it's the corridor between sort of kitchen and meeting, and those back corridors there, and just seeing if there's anyone going to be carelessly rushing their way on through. No book on the side of Black Dragons this time. I'm not sure if they were anticipating Liquid to go somewhere else, but Liquid have kind of called the bluff a little bit. We saw Liquid play successfully and defend successfully down in meeting, which I believe would have been open for them if they wanted to, but instead they've chosen to come back upstairs to dorm, so obviously feel as though they've got some sort of unfinished business here. But with no book on the side of Black Dragons, it is going to make things a little bit trickier, as that was something we've commented on and said is probably a large reason to the success of that attacking push, just how much pressure was able to be applied vertically. Instead, Black Dragons are now going to have to try and figure things out on the fly. Look to try and take control of Attic, which, as we've seen, can be quite a difficult prospect. Yuna going to go for the full burn, and the nade going to follow in from Live. Nesk, full white flash, along with Palu, I believe. Second nade coming on in. But something isn't clicking for Black Dragons, as that shield is still in place. All the players are still 100% health, with the exception of a bit of chip damage over onto PSK, but he isn't even inside of the attic. So a lot of utility there gone for nothing.
Yeah, actually, what I wanted to say was the fact that Black Dragons bought 6 flashes and 4 nades, which is really good because all of the ADS were invested in one spot, which means if you can burn those out, get rid of the shield, you still have nades left over that you can use elsewhere. But given that it didn't work when they tried to use those nades to get rid of the shield, they're now not in that position. Nesk getting caught out by one of the air jabs, but won't be caught out by a member of Black Dragon, so he will live, at least for now. There's some of those smokes coming out. We're actually heading into the final 30 seconds already, and all 10 players are still alive.
I really worry about time here for Black Dragons. They haven't got a great deal of it at their disposal, and we've already seen how good Liquid are with their utility. Yet more stun grenades and frags coming on through. 2 big kills. A plant going down in the midst of smoke. Hugs can't make it stick, finds some safety, and instead tries to make it happen. Nesk, 1 versus 4. He needs 1 kill. He needs to take out the planter, but no, he's going to go the long way around. He's not making it easy. He's found 2. 3 more to find. Can he do it? Nesk's been going off this entire game, and if anyone has a chance, it is this man right here. Nesk, you've only got to find 1 more. Goes for the pre-fire. Hasn't got a great deal of ammo left in the clip. Hits the reload live with a swing. Probably the most important kill you're going to see all night. That is enough for Black Dragons to take things all the way.
Oh my God. Nesk nearly clutch acing. I honestly thought he was going to do it. You said that was the most important kill of the round. I think that's probably the most important kill of Live's career. At least here in the 2021 season of BR6. My God, Team Liquid was so close to taking that round, and now, we're into overtime. We spoke at the start about how Black Dragons games are always really quick. We wanted to see something a bit longer. They heard you. They answered. They're doing it right now. Black Dragons, they just came in with such a slew of kills, and it looked like it was just going to be a complete flawless round. Nesk getting those 4 kills at the end. Man, oh my God.
I have never seen...
That's all I can say. That's my analysis. My analysis is, oh my God.
It really is, though. I have never seen that many kills chained together with an SMG-11 like that.
No.
Like, in that sort of time frame,
So
which
clean.
honestly was about 10 seconds, if that. The sort of speed and the cleanliness of the kills. Unreal stuff. I genuinely thought he was going to take it all the way.
The kills.
They were clean. They were cleaner than Simon's shirt.
What about his skinny jeans?
I think they've seen better days, honestly. I think they're in the bin now.
Well, anyway, that was all Black Dragons needed. That 1 kill from Live to take this into the overtime that they required. Now, Black Dragons start overtime on attack, which was proven to be their weaker side. So automatically Team Liquid have the advantage from that. The other thing too is that Team Liquid have shown good adaptation. However, so have Black Dragons. I said about a lot of the mistakes that we were noticing in rounds 7, 8, 9, that first half of the second half, if you will. They got cleaned up quite a bit by Black Dragons in the latter half of the second half. So actually it's going to be a bit of a war of adaptation, or it's going to be a war of Nesk against the world. You don't know. It could be either.
Either or both.
Yeah.
Nesk at the minute is kind of putting the team on his back a little bit, and with a bit of contribution from elsewhere, we could have seen this game said and done. Instead, Black Dragons have dug deep and they've found enough rounds to take us to an OT. Came away with that sort of 2 rounds that they required after a good defensive phase. And now we found ourselves once again attacking onto Freezer. Somewhere that we have seen mixed success for, and it usually relies on a big performance from someone on the side of Black Dragons. Liquid not going for any sort of roam game whatsoever, instead focusing solely on this objective.
Black Dragons are trying to be methodical. Have an approach coming in from Laundry, and it looks like 1 player looking down towards... actually, maybe 2 players coming in from Freezer as well. You can see Team Liquid just trying to play a little bit further back. Moringa not wanting to be caught out when the Vulcan shield goes down, as it has now. Remember Patoxy before, when trying to approach this push in on Frieza, did get caught out by Nesk in a crossfire. So he'll likely be looking to be more careful about that and using the support of the rest of his team from other parts of the map to aid him. Nesk is looking to get both the kills, though. He gets one. He does get the second as well, and a third, too. Nesk going crazy as Black Dragons finally make their push, and it's just kills in and out, leaving just Yuna on his own.
You say just Yuna, but he's managed to find himself two. He's got himself into a 2 versus 1 yet again. We're seeing this 1vx situation for Yuna. Who other than Nesk to pick that final kill up? Back-to-back 4Ks for this guy right here. He's seriously going off tonight for Team Liquid. That's going to be enough to confirm round number 14. Sides are going to switch here. As Liquid, they have to attack, and they have to win if they want to take Oregon.
Whew, okay. You know how the other day we spoke about Cyber playing on Villa for FaZe and how he was doing so much of the work because he was just playing out of his mind? And then since then, it's just been, in most of our games, there has been like the cyber curse. It's not even a curse, but like the cyber charm has just been passed on to different players of different teams. Today, Nesk is the one playing with the cyber spirit. You know,
he really is.
He really is. And I certainly don't want to put down Yuna either, because he did really do well in that round. And it's a difficult position to be in when it's just you on your own. He's playing on the Dockerby, so not necessarily there to be a fragger. You know, he hasn't got the fraggiest weaponry. And, you know, I'm a personal Dokkaebi hater because I can't use any of the weapons that she has.
I thought it was because you hate fun.
No. I mean, she's fine as an operator. I don't have a problem against her as an operator. I just can't use her. So, you know, it's not the easiest job in the world, is what I'm trying to say, especially when you're outnumbered too. So the fact that Yuna actually did so much with that round, regardless of being in that disadvantaged position, is quite impressive. But it does mean that Team Liquid overtime match point. As you mentioned before, however, Black Dragons are now on defense, which has proven to be their more successful side. And they really made mincemeat of Team Liquid in a number of rounds back on the first half. I'm having some war flashbacks of maybe some meeting drops that didn't go so well. Team Liquid getting a nice team kill and suddenly being out of sync. We don't need to dwell on it. Team Liquid definitely shouldn't be, if they want to get themselves together to actually win this round.
I guess tonight has answered one question we could have had from Team Liquid, and that is that if Palu doesn't show up, who else is going to step up? Now, we know it's a talented roster, but Nesk has firmly thrust his hand into the air and said, it will be me. 21 kills, 10 deaths. The guy is going off here, and it seems only right that we make, you know, a big deal of that, as, you know, we like to gas Palu up in his ratings, but I think there may be some room for adjustment in there once the guys get their hands on the stats after this game and figure out, you know, who is going to be exactly where. This is a big round here for Liquid. Questioning the Kali being brought to attack onto a basement. Obviously, you don't know that you're attacking onto a basement, but you can give it a good guess. We haven't seen Cade played at all tonight from any of these teams, and even if we did, Maverick is a constant bring on the side of Sexy Cake. Meeting hatch has been opened. Moringa just giving it a little cautionary look. Not choosing cheeky peek, but you don't really go anywhere near it. I wouldn't be going anywhere near it. Nesk's got himself onto these rear stage stairs. Is he going to find yet another? Gets chunked down there, but deals a good bit of damage to Live in return. The opportunity has arguably passed now for Nesk, because he can't really peek onto that for a good couple of seconds, as he is going to be only a couple of bullets. He needs pressure to come elsewhere, really, for him to be able to make anything happen here, and so far that pressure is slow to come. From blue is really where we're going to be looking toward, as we can see Toxic Babe canisters and 3 bodies all lined on up. Live with a horrible bullet hole angle, which is unlikely to be pre-fired or challenged. Live doesn't really have too much health to be going in a head-to-head engagement either. Nesk going to stroll his way down the stairs. Live, are you just going to let him get all the way down? Nesk, what are you able to do here? Finds himself a freebie. Live's going to be scratching his head as to how this has happened. It's still a 3 versus 2 for Liquid. Make that a 2 versus 2 as kills continue to flood. A team kill on the side of Black Dragons. Oh dear, oh dear. There's only 8 seconds. Have you even got enough time to get the revive off? Impact nade gets tossed on out. PSK, you have to thirst for this kill. It was a trade. Geo, it goes to Black Dragons.
Oh man, in the last 20 seconds of that round, I had no idea what to expect. Absolutely none. I mean, Nesk got downed, no withstand, so he can't do anything about it. He had to wait for PSK to get it. PSK gets a nice kill. Suddenly, that man advantage has switched back to Team Liquid. The fact that Live didn't use the bullet hole he had, and Nesk just had free roam to walk down the stairs, that is the thing that confused the hell out of me the most. Because as soon as you give Nesk free space, you let him get a kill onto one of your teammates. No, you can't do that. That's bad. But Live did then get at least 1 kill after that, and we had the constant back and forth. That really nice impact from Iron to finish Nesk off, and then the trade at the end went in the favor of Black Dragons, and thus, boys and girls and everything in between, or not on the male to female spectrum at all, we are going to Max OT.
I don't know if I can cope, Gio. Second game of the night, maximum overtime again, and really through no fault of any of the teams that we've seen play. It's just been standout after standout. Individuals stepping up and really showing us what they have got and why they deserve to be the best in Brazil. And honestly, at the moment, if you ask me who the best team in Brazil is, I would not be able to tell you, because we have seen some wild stuff over the course of this season. And whilst the standings give us an indication, judging off what we've seen tonight, there really is no clear answer.
Mate, I did an article about it, breaking down all these stats between FaZe and Liquid. I calculated the standard deviation of the cost, or the average cost on all of these teams, and suddenly I feel like everything, all my research has just gone out the window, man, because I can't tell anymore.
When you showed me that article, I told you that it was Ints, because Ints are the last team to beat FaZe.
Yeah.
And that remains now until we see Ints play again over the course this weekend, which will be at some point. But for the time being, what a display from Team Liquid and Black Dragons, both going at it. Black Dragons now on the attack, so arguably the more difficult side, and attacking onto the meeting. This was a flawless round back when we saw it, as Liquid play this site quite aggressively, all centered around PSK on the dock. He's going to play next to that A-bomb chassis until his dying breath, stim pistoling himself up with utility, and really going to look to try and cause a problem for Black Dragons. They might know where he is, but are they going to be able to deal with him?
All right, I'm getting ready. I'm so jittery. I'm just so excited about this round. This could go either way. So far, no opening kills have been had. Remember, this is a meeting bomb site, so even though Team Liquid have defenders upstairs, that's Palu up in the attic, they are there to hold a vertical defense rather than because that's where the site is. Black Dragons look like they're preparing to push into the site, just burning out some of the ADS, and PSK is ready. Remember where they went to plant before? It wasn't the most orthodox position, and it looks like they're going for it again.
Nades have come on in. Hugs might get this plant down. Last time we saw loads of utility being thrown in that direction to deter the plant, but no, PSK's even been downed in the process. Sexy K's trying to get himself up rear stage stairs, but he triggers the air jab. Unifines one onto Palu. This isn't looking good here for Liquid. Patoxy with the back push in onto Moringa, and all the while the time is ticking. Nesk, he's been the standout player inside of this game for Liquid. Can he do anything? Can he go huge? PSK, great headshot there over onto Hugs, but as the kills come through, Black Dragons crack meeting, and they are going to take this map here of Oregon against Liquid.
Yeah, they may have cracked meeting. They've also cracked Team Liquid, denying them the 3 points to launch them further in their lead. And Black Dragons just proving what they can do against this team. What a fantastic game of Siege we just got to witness. And wow, all the way to Max OT. Even just in that last... Oh, look at those 23 kills for Nesk. That's illegal.